Welcome you back to Black Site, and we're going to talk about the 2020 Democrat debate in which Mike Bloomberg was roasted by Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Mike Bloomberg has spent over $300 million on the race for president in a Democrat primary, but tonight was his first test on stage. And Elizabeth Warren came out swinging. She called him out on his racism, his sexism, and his homophobia. She asked, and many others asked, would he release his 64 NDAs and his sexism against women? Bernie Sanders called him out for the Stop and Frisk program, which he ran for 12 years in office. Joe Biden called him out, saying the Obama administration under his attorney general filed charges against the Bloomberg administration. He also visited New York to tell Michael Bloomberg to stop. He refused to stop. And under a federal judge who in 2012, 2013 said Michael Bloomberg's Stop and Frisk program violated the 4th and 13th Amendments. He refused to stop. He appealed the decision. And now Michael Bloomberg comes forward, and the only thing he can say is that he apologizing for a program he really enjoyed implementing on poor black males and Latinos. Mike Bloomberg was under fire all night. He seemed frazzled. He seemed like he couldn't answer the questions. You thought he would have been more prepared for the questions that was coming after him. But Mike Bloomberg is the type of man that feels as though he can buy himself a nomination. As you have seen, he has spent over $300 million so far on a Democratic race, more than all candidates put together. And he's going out buying people like Bobby Rush from the Congressional Black Caucus, Mr. Meeks, Lucy Macbeth. He spent $5 million on Stacey Abrams' PAC. He just bought the Wayne County executive out of Detroit. Mike Bloomberg feels as though he can spin his way to a nomination. And when asked at the end of the debate program by Lester Holt, how would you feel, whoever had the most delegates, do you believe they deserve the nomination? He said he'll let the Democrat process proceed within the Democrat Party, which means if Bernie Sanders has the most delegates, basically he's saying the superdelegates can steal the nomination from Bernie Sanders. And this is what Bloomberg has in mind, is that the Democrat establishment will come in and give him the nomination because he has spent so much money. He says he's willing to spend up to $7 million to win the nomination and win the presidency. It seems like the Democrat Party has given up all their morals to win the presidency. When you have a man who's worse than Donald Trump, I will say this, worse than Donald Trump, 64 NDAs, racism, stop and frisk. He insulted farmers. He insulted farmers in the Midwest, basically saying anyone could be a farmer. This man has no character. He may have a lot of money, but he has no character. His arrogance is telling him, if I spend enough money, I'll win the nomination. But now the Democrat Party can no longer talk about too much money in politics. They can no longer talk about racism. They can no longer talk about sexism. They can no longer talk about homophobia because they have let in the worst of the worst into their party. They have sanctioned Mike Bloomberg to be their nominee within the establishment of the Democrat Party. This man is pure evil. But they feel as though they have a more evil orange man in the White House. See, I'm going to go back in history and tell you about it's so many people who have fell for the trap. See, the czars in Russia was running the country. The people thought they were the worst. But who did they invite in? Stalin. And Stalin was 10 times worse. The people in Germany thought that their government was worse. But they brought in someone who was 10 times worse. And sometimes you have to be careful when it comes to winning. Sometimes you want not just to win, but the right candidate to win. Bloomberg is a maniacal maniac who has no morals and no respect for people who don't have his type of money. He feels as though that, how dare you criticize Mike Bloomberg? He stands up there as a little man with his chin up like Napoleon. And that's what you're going to get if you put him in the White House, because he would have paid off everyone. And I am so disgusted with members of the CBC and black politicians all across the country who's willing to take the devil's money from Michael Bloomberg. But tonight, I will give credit. The Democrat Party opponents stood up against Mike Bloomberg. They attacked him. They told him how they felt. And Elizabeth Warren said, with your policies, how are you going to excite African Americans or Latinos to go out and vote for you after the way you have treated them for the past 12 years in your administration? The audio of Mike Bloomberg, of what he has said to so many people in so many different ethnic groups around the country. He should not even be on this debate stage. But that tells you what money can do in politics. It can buy your way on a stage. It can buy your way into a Democrat primary, and possibly buy your way into being the nominee of the Democrat Party, and possibly buy the presidency. And that would be a low day in America. I want to thank you for listening to Black Site. I hope you subscribe to this channel. Smash that like button, share this video. And I hope you subscribe to this channel. And also, if you'd like to donate, hit the PayPal button. Hit the Streamlabs button or the Cash App.